14 drivers this weekend are getting extra laps at Mount Panorama, albeit in quite different cars. 9 drivers were doing the HPDC V8 Supercar Series as well as the Great Race. Those cars are 100 kilos heavier and a little older than the main ones. And 5 drivers in this Carrera Cup race are also competing in the Super Cheap Auto 1000, and the Carrera Cup has been very exciting already this weekend. Your commentators for this race, Greg Rust and Cameron McConville.
And Bill, any miles at the mountain are good miles, particularly, I guess, Cam, on a day like today.
That's right, Greg. I'd say this is, for like guys like Fabian and Jim Richards, this is a look-see at the conditions of the circuit, because if they do start the race in their respective V8 supercars, they're going to get a heads up as to just how slippery it is.
Now, we should let the people watching at home this morning know that you have been a bit crook, but you're actually a little better today, and you're one of many drivers to have flu or flu-like symptoms here in the pits, aren't you?
Yeah, I timed it perfectly. Came down with it on Monday this week, but I actually feel better than I sound, so no, it shouldn't be a problem in the car.
Round 7 of the championship. We've already had 2 races this weekend. One of the races was not awarded points. That was yesterday's race. It was a race that involved a massive accident for Shannon O'Brien down at Caltech's Chase, a rollover. But at the moment, coming into this round, Jim Richards enjoyed just a 12-point series lead over Fabian Coulthard, but Fabian took pole here, a 2-minute 12-second lap, fastest ever lap by a Carrera Cup car around the mountain. And here's a replay of the crash involving O'Brien yesterday.
Yeah, well, originally when we looked at this, we thought it was some sort of tyre failure, and it didn't show the left rear tyre went flat. It was still up when we had a look at the car later on. So it's possible that he went through the kink and lifted mid-corner and lost a lot of aerodynamic grip, but it just sounded like the tyre dug in. So, massive crash and testimony to the Carrera Cup car, just how safe they really are.
It sure was. Shannon O'Brien walked away. There's Tony Quinn. His car was involved in a big accident at the Chase as well on Friday in the first race and was repaired. Great job by the Smash Repair crew here at the mountain, and he will contest this race, but starting from pit lane. The point I was going to make about Fabian Coulthard, he won the opening encounter here on Friday. 3 races in this round of the championship, and that draws him level with Jim Richards in the series standing. So we're at round 7. And as we build towards the end of this championship, Indy's going to be a fantastic round as well. Here's how they'll line up. Coulthard from pole position. Young Clark Quinn, who enjoyed his first ever podium in this class at the mountain last year. Alongside him on the front row, Jim Richards, the man who'll partner James Courtney in the Super Cheap Auto 1000. Lots of experience at the mountain. He heads up the second row. Peter Fitzgerald on the third, alongside Luke Yilden, who is teammate to Russell Ingall.
Yeah, looking back through the grid, I see Ian Dyke there, good run from him. Still learning the circuit, really. Rodney Jane, Dean Grant, that's a fantastic effort by Dean to be inside the top 10 in the older 03 model car. And Andrew Luxton a fair way up the grid too. That'll be a great finish for him.
Paul Freestone was a fast starter yesterday, and he's someone worth watching. So too is Cameron McLean, who'll be part of the Ford Performance Racing team this weekend, driving with Greg Ritter. He was involved in a massive role, Cameron McLean, in that Porsche.
Bryce Washington there out of position 20. He actually had a drive shaft break in the earlier race yesterday on the outlap, so frustrating for him, and moving his way back through the field. And Tony Quinn, as we saw there, he's going to start out of pit lane, which is probably not such a bad thing in these conditions. Get a bit of clear track and stay out of trouble.
Final race in this round of the championship. It's just 8 laps. As I was saying before about Cameron McLean, that car of his, it's the rebuilt car, brand new chassis, but his car, there it is, the Sharon Hire entry, was involved in a big role at Queensland Raceway earlier this year in the very same place that Jason Richards, when they clipped that curb on the very outside of turn 3. A lot of controversy over that at that round, wasn't there? There was. I mean, it acted as a bit of a jump, really, but I suppose, look, but prior to that, there hadn't been any similar incident that I'm aware of, so it was just a rare weekend to have 2 incidents or 2 rollovers on that particular part of the circuit. Coulthard just edging as far forward as he dare on the line, just to make sure that he's got the best possible starting position, is as far forward as possible. He'll join Tony D'Alberto in the Tasman crew this weekend for the 1000. One thing to watch here is really the right-hand side of the road. The outside is going to be faster off the line. That's where the cars have been running in the warm-up, so expect the right-hand side to be slightly drier, and it could be an advantage off the start. This is all good news for you guys as well. Someone in the lane there. I'm not quite sure which car that is. So, in fact, it's McKillen. So, some dramas for Shane McKillen, the New Zealander. We're set for a start here in the Carrera Cup. marvellous sounding flat six-cylinder Porsches come to life at the mountain. Jim Richards, a nice start alongside Jonathan Webb, but it's Fabian Coulthard who will lead them. Richards already up to second. Quinn's in trouble. He's had a tough start. Contact, he goes round. Dyke's in trouble too.
Yeah, look at this. Cam McLean's going to get caught out there as well. So there was a slight touch. I mean, there were 3 wide through turn 1 there, and in these slippery conditions. And Dean Grant, what a shame for him. He's been caught up in that, and he'd been going so well to get into the top 10.
Melbourne public, and look at the coolant firing out there. The front radiator, a lot of damage to the splitter there as well, and that's game over.
Jim Richards got a great start. He was up the inside, and that sort of set a bit of a chain reaction. 3 abreast through turn 1. It narrows on the way out, and there was inevitably going to be some sort of contact, unfortunately.
Jim was the pioneer yesterday in our top 10 shootout for pole position for the great race. He went out on wet weather tyres, was the first to gauge or get an idea of what the damp conditions were like across the top of the mountain here, and he didn't have the best lap time, but we know what he's like in wet or damp conditions, and he is firing here at the moment. Let's have a look. This is the view from Cameron McLean's car, the Concertina at Hell Corner.
Yeah, you can see Paul Freestone's up on the inside there, but it's all happened way up in front. There's Clark Quinn, Theo Conduras there. Cam went right round the outside. Unfortunately, he lost out in that one, but this might tell us something else here. There's the contact, and I think that was actually Dyke. It was definitely Ian Dyke that turned Clark Quinn around, and then he spun around himself.
The drama, of course, was for Clark off the start line. That was what started it all. Look at the argy-barging behind there. It was Dyke, so contact as they ventured into Holden Corner.
That was pretty ambitious. He was hard into the back left rear quarter of Clark Quinn early in the corner, so it just turned him round, really.
Well, we have a new race leader. It is Jim Richards. Look at this. We understand he grabbed it at Skyline, moving by Fabian Coulthard, and Richards is already pulling clear as they charge down Conrod. Jonathan Webb trying to fend off, I think that's Luke Youlden. So Luke Youlden right on the pace. In fact, Youlden making a move here, and he'll grab third. On the wet line, though, and holds it.
Yeah, very tricky to pull off line and overtake under braking. For these guys, they're fortunate they have ABS or anti-lock braking, so that definitely helps in these sort of conditions. But Jim Richards, you'd expect in these conditions, he's just on his own, really. He's very fast, and he pushed hard here. This is big. Right round the outside, offline at Skyline, and pulled it off. Pretty impressive move.
58 years of age. Has done a marvellous job this week with James Courtney, hasn't he? They've been a good, strong combination. And I think Neil Crompton made a very good point yesterday, and that is that it's been almost 2 years in V8 supercar terms since Jim Richards was, you know, in a position to drive on a green, brand new tyre. He does only the 2 races each year, but it's the Carrera Cup that keeps him match fit. Although they're left-hand drive, it's the perfect tonic for Richo, who loves his racing for a starter, but just to keep him race fit, isn't it?
Well, he did a great job in qualifying. He did a 2:08.4 and pushed me out of the top 10. So, no, look, he got into the shootout. He got a bit dudded with the conditions yesterday, and he's going to be one to watch. If the day's like today, you'd have to put, you know, some money on Richards and Courtney. I think they'll be a real threat in a solid car, being a HRT Commodore.
Luke Youlden has good pace here at the moment and is running right with Fabian Coulthard, who's back, putting the pressure on Jim Richards as they venture across the top of the mountain. 4th place. Jonathan Webb, Rodney Jane doing a terrific job in 5th place. Then it's Paul Freestone, Peter Fitzgerald, who's a bit of a surprise there, drifted back. Look at Richards trying to fend off Coulthard. Coulthard defends from Luke Youlden across the top again.
Yeah, Luke Youlden is doing a great job because he's been a little bit off the pace, so these conditions are suiting him. He's actually got the fastest split at the moment on the 2nd sector, so he's made up a heap of ground. Obviously, these 2 guys are scrapping a little bit, and Jim's starting to drive defensively. It's funny because Jim got past quite convincingly, but it's nearly like Fabian sort of risen and said, okay, it's not that wet after all, I better press on. But look at Luke Youlden. This is the quickest or closest he's been to the front all weekend.
3 cars in the VIP pet food stable. The one you saw just a moment ago was Clark Quinn, who started this race from the front row. He's in pit lane as a result of that contact, but Youlden doing a tremendous job. Cameron McLean in the lane as well. So the Sharon Hire entry, he did have a minor piece of contact as he took evasive action there.
Yeah, they're looking under the car, so I'm not sure. Jim's really wide, very wide, and losing braking efficiency going out onto the inside there, and Fabian's all over him.
The current spec Porsche runs an ABS braking system. The new version 997 GT3 that they will use next year runs a sequential gearbox, but they're dispensing with ABS next year. Look at Coulthard, tries to defend. Youlden has the pace, and he'll wrestle it at Big Pond Corner, moving up to second. Jonathan Webb as well. He's been doing a lot of driver training throughout the course of the year with the likes of Craig Baird, Andy McElroy, and some of the team from Paul Cruikshank Racing who prepped that car. And the youngster from Sydney really has started to come on strong this year.
Well, that all started back at the chase. Fabian got slowed up by Jim Richards, and you can see he did the switch over, but that enabled Luke Youlden to read it well, get the power down through the chase and got a run down the hill. Very aggressive move under braking, though.
You're on board there with Jonathan Webb. Things are hotting up here in the Carrera Cup. We have to sneak a quick break, but don't go away. The big day at the mountain is just starting, and it's hotting up at the front in Carrera Cup. Our build-up to the great race, the greatest race on the calendar, continues. This is the Wright Patton Shakespeare Carrera Cup, a championship round here at the mountain, and Fabian Coulthard, the 23-year-old Kiwi, is absolutely harassing Jim Richards here. And remember, they're tied for the championship lead, so it's game on between these two drivers. Jonathan Webb, the Sydney-sider, sits in third place from Rodney Jane. Peter Fitzgerald is up to fifth, and Paul Freestone. Richards resists. Coulthard looks for any opportunity and did so right the way across Skyline and down Cameron McConville into the dipper, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. And Jim Richards had the speed earlier on in this race, but Fabian's got a run on him now. He'll definitely have the inside line for turn one at Holden Corner, but look at Jim, big go under brakes.
Oh, Fabian just manages to arrest the speed as they come into turn one. They're lapping in the 2-minute 29s, this trio, and that compares with qualifying times of 2:12 and yesterday 2:13s and 2:14s during the race. Now, just before the break, this is what happened. Luke Youlden was leading.
Yeah, he went out, see that white line. He crossed the white line with the right rear. No grip on the painted white line on a damp road. He came in pretty hot here, used a bit more road, crossed that line, and then out the back went. What a shame. He got into the lead and unfortunately lost it all.
He was doing such a good job as well. Has dropped down to 9th place. Luke's been on the podium here before. Back then he was driving, of course, for the Stephen Ellery team, and will partner Russell Ingall today in car 9. Webb looks a little more crossed up by comparison to the two in front of him. He's fighting the car a bit more, isn't he?
I think he hurt those tyres a little bit. Obviously, as the track's drying, the wet's going to start to hurt, but I think he probably hurt it getting onto the bunch, you know, really chasing to get up there behind Fabian and Jim. Maybe it's just starting to lose rear grip. He certainly looks pretty busy back there. Jim Richards was very strong early on when it was wetter, so it's interesting that he's actually lost pace and Fabian's gained some speed as the track's dried.
Carrera Cup is undoubtedly the best one-make championship in the world. There's a number of them in all sorts of countries. Identical spec 911 GT3 Porsches with a number of control mechanisms, including controlled tyres. It is all about teamwork and driver, really, isn't it, Cam? Getting the package to work right, control, suspension mechanisms and things like that.
Oh, absolutely, there's no doubt about that. I mean, the formula's proven, and we're looking forward to seeing the new spec car in 2006.
Yeah, we sure are. Beautiful car. Darryl Beattie.
Well, Clark Quinn, you're going to be disappointed with that. You've shown some great pace this weekend.
Yeah, it's really disappointing. It was turned out to be the perfect weekend for us and for me personally and Team VIP Pet Foods. But I stuffed up had trouble getting second gear off the start line, and it just went from bad to worse from there and got turned around turn one and just got hit from every angle, I think. And yeah, the car had a funny noise, so I just took it in and race over.
Well, hard luck and enjoy the big one today.
Thanks, mate.
He's a quietly spoken young guy, Clark Quinn. Loves his racing in the Carrera Cup, and when he's not behind the wheel of a Porsche, look at this lead that Fabian Coulthard has now over Jim Richards. The point I was going to make, oh, Webb sideways, so on those wet weather tyres, on the dry line, look, Webb searching now for the wetter patches of the track to obviously keep those tyres cool.
Yeah, well, he was actually 2 seconds faster on that last lap than Jim Richards, so pretty impressive. Jim maybe even started with the tyre pressures higher. That's a thing that you can adjust, along with shockers. You can adjust tyre pressures in this category. It's very controlled. Jim may have started with them higher for the wet, and now that the track's dry, the tyres got too hot, over-pressured, and he's losing grip.
The point I was going to make, as Luke Youlden continues his surge forward up to 7th, he's battling away there with Freestone. Paul Freestone trying to snatch 6th place, so claw back some good positions here on the run home, Luke Youlden. Point I was going to quickly make about his teammate, Clark Quinn, is that all the Quinn family members work at the business there at Yatala on the Gold Coast. So when he's not behind the wheel of a Porsche, very engrossed in the family business, which Tony formed many years ago now.
Yeah, it's very disappointing for Clark Quinn because look at Luke Youlden, his teammate, having a big go getting through the field, but he did admit that he missed second gear there off the start, but it wasn't his fault for getting turned around in first corner. But hats off to him, he did a very, very good job here.
In the build-up to this round of the series, the category manager or CEO, Jamie Blakey, announced that the Carrera Cup for 2006 will be an 8-round national championship using the new spec 997. Beautiful car that we've spoken about. And it'll kick off, of course, at the Clipsal 500 in Adelaide in March. Look at this, Fitzgerald, Rodney Jane, they touch on the exit of Forest Elbow. This is all good for Luke Youlden and Freestone, who will get better pace. It'll be difficult to find an opportunity to pass, though. Look at them. It's a blockage going down Conrod Straight, and Youlden cannot find a way past.
Yeah, this is a recipe for disaster, I've got to say. I mean, Paul Freestone blocked the inside line at Forest Elbow, but Luke Youlden's a much faster car, so I'll be a little bit careful here because Luke might get a bit impatient.
Young David Reynolds, the Formula Ford star, at the tail of this group as well. Freestone almost a touch with Jane as they come through the chase. Youlden makes big gains, beautifully done.
Yeah, nice if he can hang in on the outside. He's done. He read that one well. He braked a little bit early, got the power on earlier because Freestone got slowed up by Rodney Jane. So he's through now. Now he just needs to try and get through Rodney Jane and Peter Fitzgerald, who's actually running very consistently and got quite good pace up in front there.
Jim Richards was third in race 1. Race 2, but that was not declared a championship point-scoring race after the incident involving Shannon O'Brien that we've showed you earlier. But it's Fabian Coulthard who stands to make the gains here. They were tied in championship terms coming into this race. He leads by 2.8 seconds now, the 23-year-old Kiwi over Jim Richards. Jonathan Webb, an excellent third. This is the stoush going on. Fitzgerald holds down 4, then Rodney Jane, desperate to fend off Youlden as they come through Cat Corner. Look at Freestone wide.
Yeah, Freestone got a fantastic run out of turn 1 because Luke Youlden had a bit of oversteer, lost drive, but on the outside there's not a lot of grip, and you can see his wet weather tyres are really struggling. And Youlden's up the inside, Rodney Jane shut the door on him, so there's only 2 laps to go, and Rodney Jane's going to drive a defensive line, but Luke Youlden has certainly got a lot more pace on him.
Fitzgerald was 8th in qualifying, a 2-minute 15.9, 6th in race 1, 5th in race 2 yesterday, now up to 4th, so the gradual move forward for Rodney Jane, car 7. Last year there was a big incident at the mountain involving him. He and Fitzgerald, they collide on the exit of Forest Elbow, both lucky not to break anything there.
Absolutely, rim on rim like that can bend steering arms or anything, so certainly hasn't slowed Peter Fitzgerald away. In fact, slowed him down. He has to get away now because if Luke Youlden gets past, I'd say he'll be right up onto the back of Fitzy very quickly.
Rodney Jane, 14th in qualifying, 14th in race 1, up to 9th yesterday, and has surged forward to 5th. This is a real game of defence here, and it's just a question of time. Youlden has the pace, a touch maybe as they come through Forest Elbow. Out the way, son, I'm coming through.
Yeah, he got a really good run. He actually could see Rodney block the inside line at Forest Elbow, but it's going to slow your mid-corner speed down because you can easily understeer there. And Luke played it smart. He ran wide, stayed wide, got the flow on effect out of the corner. And now he's got the run down Conrod, but very even on power, which you'd expect from a one-make series, and you really can't do much about it.
Oh, Luke Youlden, brave move! Can he pull it up? He can't. Jane will move back in front. Freestone.
You could see he'd made up his mind then, Greggy was going to go down the inside no matter what, but just ran out of pure stopping power.
Concern there is too, if he gets any more damage to that front splitter, he risks damage to the radiator, doesn't he? He cannot afford to do that.
Yeah, it's borderline now. You can see it's pushed in just under the bonnet area, so it was only a slight touch, but certainly a bit of panel work went up in the air. So there was a fair rub there. But, oh, look at Freestone's lost it. Freestone's had the big spin at turn 1, mid-corner, just lost the rear of the car on the way in. So those wets are definitely over and out now.
Youlden is 3rd overall in the championship, and he leads the WPS Michelin Driver to Europe Award by 44 points coming into this round. But the main combatant he's up against for that that prize, a wonderful prize to the rookie prize. An opportunity to show your wares overseas next year. That's one great thing about the Carrera Cup. But he's battling Jonathan Webb for that prize, and Webb is third in this race at the moment. Jane, Yulden, they're at it again.
Look at the back of that back spoiler there, missing on the left rear on Rodney Jane's car. So the Bob Jane Team Arts Carrera Cup car looking a little bit sad. And Luke Yulden's going to have a go no matter what. He wants that position back. He's in the championship hunt still. Certainly a little bit off the leaders, off Fitzy on Fabian and Jim Richards. But Fabian's cleared out. He's 5 seconds ahead now. And finally Yulden gets through.
Great work by Luke Yulden from McPhillamy to Skyline. And he moves into 5th position. Realistically, Fitzgerald, can he grab him on the run home here? This is David Reynolds, and the view as Freestone gets out of shape at turn 1.
Yeah, heap of smoke there, so you can see Reynolds slowed right up just to be safe, but just lost the rear of that car on turning. Oh, speaking of the rear of the car, look at Luke Yulden. He has closed up on the back of Peter Fitzgerald, as I thought, and he will definitely have a run. Very close to the wall there.
He used all of the available track space on the exit of Forest Elbow. Fitzgerald, very, very difficult to pass. He's been around production car racing for many years, Peter Fitzgerald. Horsepower, nothing in it. Yulden in the tow. Fitzgerald will have the better line as they venture into the chase for the final time. Will Yulden have a go? On the outside, big dive under brakes from Luke Yulden. How brave was that? And he does it. Does it nicely.
I think Peter Fitzgerald underestimated how much grip Luke Yulden had, because he braked very early because he was offline. But look at Fabian, another win.
Another win and a round victory as well. He started from pole, 2 race wins. He'll take the championship lead from Jim Richards, who held it coming into this round. Luke Yulden, a brilliant 4th position, a fighting 4th position. And that sets up what will hopefully be a great day for him in the number 9 Caltex entry with Russell Ingall for the Stone Brothers squad. That's a great drive.
Excellent drive, no doubt about that. Very aggressive drive. In fact, my money would have been on him to have a win there had he not had that unfortunate spin up at the cutting, because Luke Yulden did the quickest lap at 2:26.4 on that last lap. Pretty impressive.
And when you compare that to the times of, say, Fabian Coulthard at 2:28.3, you're absolutely right. He had the pace, and he'll be livid. There's Kevin Murphy, who has a busy day today, not only looking after things in the Murphy Racing Carrera Cup team, but obviously one of the directors of the Dodo Racing Tasman Motorsport outfit. We say a big thanks to Cameron McConville for his help this weekend, and good luck for the great race, mate.
Thank you.
Fabian Coulthard wins the 3rd and final race of the weekend in Carrera Cup. Jim Richards 5 seconds behind. Jonathan Webb rounds out the top 3. A good day for the youngster from Sydney, particularly in his contest for the Rookie of the Year honours. Billy, that takes things out for Carrera Cup here, but what a way to start a fantastic big day here at the mountain. Very